Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, like what did I say? I hated following. Never mind. All right. So, well, this already sounds like a friendly audience, so that's a good thing for me. Yeah, it's. Sometimes I feel like, when people ask me to speak, I'm supposed to be like a Nike commercial or something, and that really couldn't be further from the truth. I'm really pretty much probably one of the most anti-corporate people out there. I'm surprised I'm still allowed to even set foot on the campus. Actually, I have a story to tell you. Just recently, Nike had to distance itself from me because of something I said about LeBron James's entourage. And it made it to YouTube, and it made it to ESPN.sports and Yahoo.sports and ESPN. Something or other. But anyway, I got in trouble. So, and the reason I get in trouble, and I get in trouble a lot, which is a choice that I made a long time ago. When I first came to Nike, Michael was sort of referring to that time period. I came and I was switching from being an architect to essentially an industrial designer. And I had to make a kind of a choice. It was it was a crossroads of sorts, because I had to decide, well, if I'm going to go from one discipline to another, how am I, I kind of knew what I was as an architect, but I wasn't sure how I should operate as a sneaker or shoe designer and apparel designer. So I said to myself, I'm going to be a provocateur. I'm going to be a storyteller, and I'm going to be a futurist. And none of those things go on in corporations. Have you noticed that at all? Well, at least most corporations, sometimes they're afraid of those things. And so, so anyway, I made that choice, and I think it's a good bit of advice for anybody to actually before they really roll into their career, before they really kind of put themselves out there, that they actually know who they are and know who they're trying to be or are for the future. And so anyway, I made that choice. And luckily for me, I got hooked up with Michael Jordan right off the bat, who couldn't be more similar in many ways from the point of view that he is a leader. He is certainly a provocateur, and I don't want to compare myself to him really, but there were some things that sort of clicked between he and I. So speaking of clicking, so Michael Jordan, we all know what he was as a basketball player, and I knew watching basketball, and then when I got a chance to work with him, something else sort of happens. And if you're trying to be a leader and you're trying to do things that no one's done before, and do it in a provocative way, in my case, in design, you have to have a pretty powerful sort of mechanism to kind of pull it all off. The mechanism was really he's the vehicle. He's the guy that really essentially promotes whatever you do. And so what a great stroke of luck for me. Interestingly enough, though, you can talk about people as athletes, and you can try and design for that purpose, which we do all the time. I've done a lot of. But the real magic happens when you get to know somebody. And I want to point out that that's actually a photograph of Michael Jordan on a ski lift chair in Deer Valley, Utah. And I'm the reflection in his goggles. See that? And the reason I pulled that slide up there is because it really when you're trying to be a storyteller, like I mentioned before, and you're trying to do something a little bit different, maybe in a provocative way, maybe in a futuristic way, you really need to have a good partner, and you really need to understand that dynamic. And it's about relationships. So or it won't work. It's fraudulent. It doesn't. What you're doing isn't really serious enough to be taken. To a real limit. So anyway, so I've had the great fortune as a designer to hang out with a lot of fantastic athletes. I'm just going to tell the Michael Jordan story because I don't have that much time. But here we are. I have my eyes closed. I don't know why. I'm a little shorter than him, but we look a lot alike otherwise, I think. But And it's been cool to kind of go through all these years and actually age with someone, and your relationship ages, and that's been pretty fun. And I have to say, I've been, again, really fortunate. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Jordan 20 basketball shoe, which was, I've designed literally thousands of products, and I still do architecture actually on the side, or sometimes for Nike. But one of my favorite projects is the Air Jordan 20, and the reason I pulled up a project that was done about 5 years ago is that I also have come to another crossroads, which is at some point, how long do you keep trying to be current and be the designer or be a designer or try to do new and different things? At what point do you become a mentor or a teacher and try and pass along what you've known to younger and better talent? So I have already made that switch, so that's why I have to talk about old projects. I'm already there. But it is a crossroads of sorts that I've also had to kind of come to and make a decision about. And I've made that decision to be more of a mentor and a leader, and probably leading more and doing less. But I want to talk about this because it's a fun little project. Michael Jordan loves motorcycles. He's a high-performance athlete, and he loves high-performance stuff. He loves cool stuff. We actually sat down and we talked about, well, how were we going to design the Air Jordan 20? And again, every year it's a big challenge. So I started looking at all this motorcycle gear. And by the way, did you know that if you're a middle-aged guy and you wear motorcycle gear, it makes you look 3.7 years younger? Did you know that? I heard it on The View. It's got to be true. It's totally true. So anyway, back to the story here. So motorcycles are kind of cool because they move fast, and then there's a macho kind of nature to it, and there's a lot of just really amazing stuff around in and around it to be inspired by. And so we looked at all of that, and it sort of gets down to the point of where you can even talk about like how motorcycle tires are like basketball shoe outsoles, and how the patterns could be the same and the rubber could be similar, and it's all about traction, it's all about speed and cornering and things like that, things that happen on the basketball floor. And so that became actually a natural way to sort of design this product. And it you can sort of see look at the previous slide and now look at this one, and that's the actual outsole of the shoe right there on the bottom. And there's a actual unique podular cushioning system inside the shoe that you don't normally see. But anyway, that's what you can do with being inspired by something like say motorcycling. So and then this sketch sort of kind of gets to the point of, well, what's it really going to look like? What's the shape, and what else can you throw in there that's unique that doesn't even have anything to do with motorcycling, and maybe it's more appropriate to basketball. And so that sketch is just one of many, literally hundreds of sketches that you would go through to design a product like this. Interestingly enough, I like to add one more bit of one more bit to the process, and it's the storytelling part that I mentioned earlier. And you can talk about motorcycles as storytelling, and it can promote the sort of the performance nature of the product. But this is really cool. This is a trumpet built here in Portland by David Monet. It used to be David Monette, but I think he got a little uppity. But David Monet is the world's best trumpet maker. And this is a trumpet made for Ron Miles, a great jazz trumpeter. Maybe some of you know his work. But interestingly, and by the way, he makes Wynton Marsalis's trumpets and Maynard Ferguson, and you just about pick about any great trumpet player, and David Monet has something to do with those guys. He designed this trumpet, and then he inscribed or cut into the trumpet itself Ron Miles's, the artist's life story. And I saw this, and I heard about it, and I went and visited David Monet, and it really inspired me to add that one little last thing that I needed to do, to sort of complete this Air Jordan 20. And that was to start asking Michael Jordan about stories about his life. and start to develop with a great team of graphic designers. And one is here's today, Michael Shea. I see him right there. He's a fantastic designer. Mark Smith, a number of other people at Nike. We all sort of got together, and I basically was the conduit. I was talking to Michael Jordan about all the stories around his life. Certainly his public life, but we talked. I spent 4 days at his house, and we hung out and we did some fun stuff. But mostly I was trying to get stories out of him, and so I was able to put together a series of symbols. Each symbol stands for some sort of story about Michael Jordan. The previous one was, of course, Spike Lee and all the commercials that we did, and Wieden and Kennedy, which had a huge hand in putting this conference together. They did a great job, building these wonderful commercials for Air Jordan through using Spike Lee. The Black Cat is a story in and of itself. Michael Jordan's nickname to his good friends is the Black Cat. So when he sees that symbol on the shoe, it reminds him of his few friends that know him by that moniker. This is a funny one because when Michael was about 7.5, 8 years old, he skipped school. His mother found him, put him in the back seat of her car, and made him sit in the car in the hot sun all day. And if you look, you can see Michael Jordan's silhouette in the back seat of that car. And that's a funny story that you wouldn't think about, would happen to a famous person like that, but it did. It happened to Michael, and he told me that story. He never told that story to anybody, and he told it in great detail. And so when he sees that symbol, and by the way, when there are millions and millions of people around the world who actually know what these symbols mean. I don't know how they all found it out, but it's pretty cool. And so this is on the shoe in the form of a tapestry of symbols. So that's the shoe. I have it here, and there are actually 200 symbols on a pair. So that's 200 different stories. Each story is unique and is recognizable by Michael when he sees the shoes, but also by many other people who have followed his life or have found out the stories themselves through some other means. So that's pretty neat, and I am real proud of that project because it's not only a high-performance, lightweight, unique basketball shoe, but it's actually, and futuristic, but actually it tells more than one story. It tells 200 stories. So that's pretty fun. I'm going to wrap this up by just going into the fun zone. One of my other favorite projects has nothing to do with sports whatsoever, and it was an opportunity, and I've had several opportunities to do it, but this was one of my favorites, to work in the movie industry. And so I got asked to work on a movie called Back to the Future 2. Back to the Future 2, most people have seen it one way or another. It's just one of those movies, along with Back to the Future 1, that's is just sort of part of Americana now. Well, I was fortunate enough to be asked to design a prop for the movie, and I sort of took it upon myself to write the scene and storyboard up how the prop was going to get into the movie, much to Bob Zemeckis' chagrin, actually. But it ended up going into the movie, and I just wanted to show this. I think it's just kind of fun. It sort of, sometimes people ask me, well, why are you still working at Nike? You don't need to do that anymore, or don't you get tired of working on athletic sneakers or apparel or whatever? And I say, every project's different, and this is a good example of the kind of fun and the kind of different kinds of projects you can get into in my business. So I'm going to use this cool phone, and I'm going to dial this baby up. All right. So, Doc, hit me with some gigawatts.
The future. Unbelievable. I gotta check this out, Doc.
On your time, Marty. We're on a tight schedule here.
Tell me about my future. I mean, I know I make it big, but what do I become, like a rich rock star?
Please, Marty, no one should know too much about their own destiny.
Right. I am rich, though, right?
Marty, please, take off your shirt. Put on the jacket and the shoes. Now, mission to accomplish.
Our laces, all right. This thing doesn't fit.
I'm adjusting. Fit.
Pull out your pants pockets. All kids of the future wear their pants inside out.
Put on this cap. Perfect. You're the spitting image of your future son.
Here is that shoe. That scene was supposed to have taken place in the year 2015. It's a little bit intimidating to realize that that's not very far away, and we're working hard. We're working hard to try and get there. Thank you very much for spending your time here. Appreciate it.